Today I'll be doing a review of a microscope I bought from Banggood. The Hayear HY-1080 has a 34 megapixel Sony CMOS sensor. It's capable of recording 4K and a max photo resolution of 6800 by 5100. The HDMI output is 1080i and not 1080p as it claims to be. I had about 4 days to play with this microscope, and it gave me enough time to make a proper review. I'll be going over the pros and cons of this microscope and some samples from the USB, HDMI, and micro SD with recorded footage. The first thing I want to mention is it weighs 908 grams. That's 2 pounds. It did come packaged fairly well. The box is a bit beat up. Digital microscope, 4K, 2K, Wi-Fi, HDMI. A mini CD. I thought the screen was going to be a little bit bigger than that, but we have the USB cable to micro USB. Same. We have a lens here and the top part of the lens. We have an HDMI to HDMI mini. They did send me an EU plug that won't work here in Canada unless I use some type of adapter. I do have one, but I'll never use it. This has actually got a little bit of weight. Off the side, got the remote, AAA batteries, 2 of them. So if you want to use your own USB adapter, make sure it supports over 1.1 amp, as the screen requires about 420 milliamps and the light requires about 650 milliamps at max brightness. The microscope comes with a cover over the sensor to keep debris out. The 150x lens had a lot of grease on it. I've tried to use a glass cleaner cloth to remove the grease, but unfortunately that just smudged it. I tried isopropanol alcohol and that seemed to do the trick, but I have a slight ring around the lens now. So that may affect the quality, but slightly. The Hayear HY-1080 comes with a remote, 2x lens, 2 USB to micro B cables, and 1 HDMI to HDMI mini. I picked up another lens from Hayear's website that will give you another 20x zoom. They told me that you can't see anything on the 40x lens, so they told me not to bother buying it. I'll be making a video with that lens when both the slides and the bottom light I ordered comes in. I'll have the link in the description when the time comes. The threaded ring by the sensor is glued into the body of the microscope. This means mine easily broke off. Wasn't a big deal though. Really? What's going on here? This whole thing slipped out of place? That was only glued in there! What were they thinking? I used Teflon tape on the outer threaded ring and pushed it back into the housing of the sensor. It worked perfectly. We put the stuff on. Yeah, that's way better. So if it ever breaks on you, just use Teflon tape. I've had this thing freeze on me a few times at random. And I want to see with the ruler here on where we are. Whoa! Did this thing freeze? I even had a blue screen my computer once. It's been a very long time since I've seen a blue screen of death on this computer. And maybe I should put my blame on that, because yeah, I haven't seen that in a very long time. But yeah, look at this. So that's EE. Look how small that is. That's one of these little resistors right here. Look at the tip of the toothpick compared to that. The freezing is a problem, and I will be reporting the issue to Hayear about it. Most of the time, it just works without problems. So I'm plugging in, plugging back in. Did it move? What? It's got a black border. Black border right across here and then straight down. What's up with that? It's almost like it's out of alignment. So I turn it off, turn it back on, and it shifts back into its same spot. It takes up to a 64 gigabyte micro SD card. This microscope does not have a mic. Both Banggood and Hayear's website says microphone support. This doesn't mean that it can't support one, it just means that there isn't one inside of it. I had a speck inside the screen, so I decided to take it apart and check to see if it actually had a mic. And no, it does not. But it does have through-hole pads to put one in. So I ordered some parts and I'll install the mic. We'll see if it works. The firmware might not even support it. Time will tell. So be sure to check out the video. It will be called Hayear HY-1080 4K Microscope Audio Mod. I also saw that there's through-hole pads for a speaker as well. So you never know. It might actually output audio. Again, we'll find that out when the time comes. So my plan with that video would be to put the microphone in, to put the speaker, and probably an audio jack, depending if it'll actually work. I might just not put the speaker in it, and I might just put an audio jack, and I could use my Blue Yeti or other types of mics, who knows. It will be mono though, as it only has one through-hole set, so I'm not sure if the software will output the audio to the left or the right channel, or maybe both. If it does work, we'll find that out when the time comes. If you were like me, you probably use OBS to record video. I'll show you what you can get from it. I also use the Elgato HD60 to record the HDMI of the microscope. If I hit display on my TV, the TV will tell me exactly what the signal is that's coming in right now. And as you can see, it says it's 1080i at 60 Hz. I'm going to go through a few boards here to give you a rough idea and some movement. That way you can actually see what the quality is on it. So let's go ahead and look at some of the small pieces here. As far away as it can get, the quality is alright. We can just adjust this a little bit. That way it's a little more crisp. We can focus on the board a little bit. So let's flip this. So this is the other side of the RAM module, and it's quite dirty. Let's actually pick off some of this stuff here, if we can. That must be dust or something. I don't know. It's just been sitting for a long time. So we're looking at another RAM module. This is for a laptop. So it's out as far as it'll go, and the distance from the lens to the bottom of the base is roughly about 5¼ inches, so it gives you a rough idea of how much of a gap you can use for soldering or something like that. So let's move it around a little bit here. Now let's bring it up close. So there's about 2½ inch gap in between the base and the lens. You can actually still solder at this level if you really wanted to. Just kind of move it around a little bit here. Let's have a look at the pins. Back to that. Let's have a look at the chip here, the text on it. Okay, so we're going to look at some components underneath the microscope. Just normal size through-hole resistors. Nothing special. They're not extremely huge. They're not extremely tiny. They're just in between. Just your normal basic ones. So we're looking at 3 LEDs. Let's adjust the lights here. They're facing directly at the top. Now they're facing on the sides. Look at that. Let's move it a little bit center here. Let's see if we can go even further. So now I'm at its max magnification here, and it doesn't seem to work too well at that. When you plug the USB into the computer, it gives you a message wanting to ask you if you want to use mass storage or the PC camera. We're going to click on PC camera because we want to actually record this. So it's connecting right now. Alright, as you can see at the top left hand corner, it says PC camera. This is what it's saying on the HDMI output of the camera. So we're just going to turn this off for now, and we're just going to focus on what we see from the 2.0 port. So the quality is a lot less on here, but that's to be expected. It's not sending high data through a USB 2.0 port, but it still looks fairly good. The delay isn't too bad at all. Like, you can actually work with this. We're going to have a look at the latency on the 2.0 port. So bottom left hand corner is the microscope feed, and the top left hand corner is my C920 camera, and obviously on the top right is my C910 camera. The PC camera that you see in the bottom right hand corner is actually the HDMI out to the capture card. So let's have a look in between latency here. So I'll move it forward, back, left, right, forward, back, left, right. So it's like half a second delay. Alright, let's have a look at this capacitor right here with the toothpick. Move the toothpick around. That way you see the latency. It's like half a second you can see between the top and the bottom. Alright, so we are now back at this blue RAM card. Did I show this thing off? I don't know. It's a 2 gigabyte RAM card here, as you can see. And let's have a look on the board here at some of the components. There you are. And we can adjust the lights. Actually, should move these lights in a different location. Say you're soldering that, I guess. We can go down to it. I'm going to do some movement speed here. Kind of get a rough idea about what it captures. You can also control the microscope with the Wi-Fi Action Camera app. You can get this thing on Android, iOS. This here is the Samsung Galaxy S5, so yours may be a little bit different than this one. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to click Connect to Camera. Like I said, yours may be a little bit different, so I'm going to hit Go Settings. You're going to have to hit Wi-Fi on the remote for your microscope. It will pop up the HY-1080 and the password is 123456778. I have absolutely no idea what ended up happening with this clip, but some reason it cut off the password. It is 123456778. Your microscope is going to say it anyways. Make sure that the password's correct. So it's just instantly going to connect me. It's not going to ask for a password because I was already in here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit back, hit connect the camera, and that's it. You are now connected to it. There is a little bit of a delay, so if you have a look underneath my camera, my video camera, you can see that it had the microscope. So we can move left, right, left, right. So there's like a certain amount of lag in between the HDMI and what you see from the Wi-Fi, but that's actually not too bad. You can click on SD files, so you can see every single video and image that's pre-recorded onto the SD card on the microscope. Click on them, and did I just crash the app? I just did. That was the first time it's ever crashed. That doesn't ever happen. But you can click on one of them, you can download it, you can preview it from here. And when you download it, it goes into the local files of your phone. And from there you can click on one of them and you can save it to your gallery if you want. There is an issue with this though. It's actually a pretty big issue. If you take a look at the top here, it says 720p 30 FPS. You can't change it any higher than that, because when you do, let's go into settings, let's click on video resolution right here. When you click on 1080 and you hit back, and it's going to freeze, as you can see right there. So yeah, the microscope is completely frozen. Here's the board right here. So that is a big problem. You have to turn off the microscope, turn it back on, and go back into the app. So I'm going to report this to Hayear and let them know about that. Here's some video examples recorded from the microscope. I know the SMD soldering looks really horrible. This was my first time soldering SMD components without a microscope and without a magnifying glass. At least it's a practice board, so who cares, right? This is a tile PCB. It's one of those keychain things that you can buy to find your keys or your phone. Some of these SMD components are really small. Have a look at this one. Now have a look at it with a hair beside it. It's insanely small. Like, it's so small that you can barely see it with your eyes. I think this is gold. I'm not really sure, but it kind of looks like it. So what you're looking at now is the Radeon 9200 SE 128 meg DDR graphics card. So the point of this is I wanted to show you 3 background layouts from green, white to black. It gives you an idea of some of the backdrops for like the PCB boards, and kind of gives you a rough idea on that, right? So I'll show you a couple more clips here of baby pepper, salt, kind of give you a rough idea. So the quality is actually not too bad. It beats my Mustool G700 microscope, which that thing only has 2 megapixel sensor. The remote itself is quite handy. It looks like the same layout as the Endostar remote, but the buttons are just in different locations. I did a full review of this thing on my website. I do have some raw sample images in the review on my website, so if you want to check that out, go for it. Talking about images, I took a few showing the exact same SMD capacitors at different resolutions. Check it out. I have 10 images here at different resolutions. I'm going to open up one of them. I'm going to use my cursor keys to go through all of them. As you can see, this makes absolutely no difference. However, when you put them all at 100%, you'll actually be able to zoom in. So this is the 6800 by 5100. Let's go to the very first one, which is 1280 by 960. Let's zoom this one into about roughly the same as how this one is. You can see a major difference in between these two. For the lights, they do get a bit warm when they're at their max brightness. So I want to show you guys how warm these lights get. This is just the temperature in here. So around 90, and that is in Celsius. 32.6, 32.8. They're not hot, they're warm. So let's have a look at the menu settings. Just click on menu button, line set. We have crosshair, line, direction, position, color, white, and weight. Let's turn on crosshair. Kind of center everything if you needed to. So we could center it directly here. Image size 34, 21, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 5, 3, 2, VGA 1.3. Quality, fine, normal. Usually I set that stuff to fine. Sharpness, ISO. I just don't bother with this. You can change it if you really wanted to. So the TV mode is in NTSC. You put it in PAL if you really wanted to. White balance, color, EV, metering, date and time. It's in Army Standard Time, but it's off, so it doesn't get imprinted onto the video or the images. Auto power off. I have this disabled. Keypad tone. You can actually hear this. So it does have audio. Stop. I'll turn it off though. Screensavers off. Frequency 60 Hertz. Language, format, default settings, and version. This version needs to be updated. This is version 1.34. So in order to access the video menu, you need to press the record button once. And now we see the video at the top left hand corner, and it says 1080 60 at the top. You just click menu. Now you get the video settings here. So we click on resolution, you get 1080 up to 4K. 4K looks to be about the same quality as 1080, except for when you zoom it in, you can see that it does look a little more detailed. It's got HDR. I've never seen this work, but it's there. Timestamp, you can turn it on and off there, and then just your basic settings. So that's it. I haven't checked out the measurement software yet. I'll do that in another video, just not this one. OBS is more important to me. The microscope doesn't come with a battery, but what's the point anyways when you can't turn the lights on? You can use a power bank, so there's no big deal on that. You cannot connect the PC to the stand and then from the stand to the microscope and expect it to connect to the PC. This doesn't work. I've tried it. Overall, I'm quite happy with it. Freezing issues will be reported, and if a fix comes out, I will post a video about it. What's interesting is Hayear is using their own type of processor. Not sure what it is. I didn't dig up any information on it, so who knows. Anyways, I hope you guys liked the video. Please rate, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.